Hey everyone, in this video I want to talk about haters and imposter syndrome. So I'm filming this in 2024, obviously for those of you seeing it right away. But probably it's like, I think May, April this year, I started getting a lot of messages on LinkedIn of people that want to create content, whether it's a podcast, YouTube, just posting on LinkedIn, whatever. But they're worried about haters and they're worried about imposter syndrome as well. So I just want to kind of talk about my thoughts, my mindset, experiences a little bit on that stuff. So let's start with the hater stuff. Probably one of the best pieces of advice was many years ago. I was worried about haters. I was like, oh my God, so-and-so said this, so-and-so said that. And one of my mentors was like, okay, well, do they pay your bills? And I was like, well, no. He's like, okay, well, why do you care then? Like, why do you care about their opinion? And I thought about that for a minute. I was like, yeah, you're right. So that's the mindset I want all of you to have if you are worried about haters and stuff, is they don't pay your bills. At the end of the day, like, why do they matter? Honestly, right? They're just basically what I call energy vampires. So they're there to get you all worked up and, I'm got to be right and all this stuff. And all that does is it's a distraction for you from what you actually need to do to be living your best life right now. So that's one aspect of it. I want to share a quick story. So I put out a course years ago, and this is probably like 7 years ago at least. But anyways, I put out this course and tons of dozens and dozens of 5-star reviews. People, oh, it's a great course, blah, blah, blah. One day I get a 1-star review. I'm like, okay, cool. I mean, I can always improve. I know I can always improve. So let me check this out and reach out to this person and see what I can improve on. So I reach out to this person. They're like, oh no, I love the course. I have no, feedback or whatever. I'm like, okay, well, did you accidentally leave a 1-star review? I was like, no. I saw that you had a bunch of 5-star reviews, so I went ahead and left a 1-star review to try to balance it out. I'm like, what? Like, that doesn't even make sense. You're an idiot. I said like idiot, dummy, something like that. Anyways, the dude blocked me. I don't care. But the reality is there's people out there like that that are just stupid for no reason. They love your course. They love your video. They love your LinkedIn post. But they just, for me, I think they got low self-esteem. They just want to sit there and bash you for whatever reason, right? Or they want to balance out, that you got a bunch of 5-star reviews because they love the course too. So they leave a 1-star. Anyways, I digress. The other thing I want to just mention is that I've literally never in my entire life, and I'm an older dude for those that don't know, I've never in my entire life had a successful person hate on me. It's never happened. When I look back, even like when I was poor growing up, the people that were hating on me, making fun of me for being poor, guess what? They were poor too, right? It's like, you're making fun of me because I'm poor, but you're poor too. And so what I want to get with that comment is that if you really look at the people that are going to be hating on you, especially when you create content and stuff, they're not successful. Most of them, like, they'll be hating on you because you got to, let's say you've worked in cyber for 10 years. You're like, okay, I want to share my knowledge and skills with the world. The people hating on you are those ones with open to work on their profile. They're working at McDonald's, right? They're trying to get their first job. But instead of working on getting their first job, they're busy hating on you. So honestly, why do you care? The last piece on the haters is I want you to know, if you don't already know, a lot of that hate stuff on social media is from bot farms. Why would they do that? Well, I mean, it might be someone wanting to get more engagement on a video. It could be that one I saw recently, someone was trying to sell like an ebook. So they basically used a bot to post on all these videos around the topic and say, oh, here's a hidden book on whatever. And, they're trying to get people to go click the link. The other thing is the social media platforms themselves. I know we all want to pretend like corporations actually care about you. They don't. And their goal is to make money off you, right? So, and I'm saying that as a business owner, right? It is what it is. But keep in mind that also these social media platforms might be hiring. I'm not saying they are. I have no proof. Just a theory. Wink, wink, hint, hint. But a lot of them may be hiring these bot farms as well, just to get more engagement on their platform, get people, on their platform, get all angry with each other. So that's the hater stuff. Really, you just got to learn to let it go. I mean, it's not like I always let it go, right? Like I looked at, for the book we wrote, the old version, we got a new version come out in a couple weeks here, I think next week. But anyways, for that book, I saw there was someone that left like a 2 or 3-star review, like, oh, these people, though, the book's horrible, blah, 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 right? And I'll admit that got to me. I'm like, what a dick, right? I was trying not to curse in this video, but what a jerk, right? And then I realized, well, there's all these other 5-star reviews, right? So it kind of reminded me of like that person that left the 1-star. It's like, who really cares, right? So that's the hater stuff. Now, imposter syndrome, I'll tell you right now, I still get it. Like even going to film this video, I got imposter syndrome. I'm a total introvert. If I go in the grocery store, even though I'm dressed well or whatever, and I shop there a million times, I still have imposter syndrome, like, oh my gosh, what are people going to think? All that stuff. So you're always going to have that no matter what you do in life, no matter what level of success you are or what you perceive the level of success you are. So the biggest thing with like imposter syndrome in my mind is like, understand that everyone has it. Understand if your plan is to create content and you're like, oh, well, my video is not going to be good as Sally or Joey's or whatever. Understand that Sally, Joey, whomever totally sucked when they started. I totally sucked when I started creating courses. My first course was a nightmare. That was, I think, around 8 or 9 years ago now. Total nightmare. It was a course on customer service. It was horrible. I'll fully admit that. But it was a learning experience, right? I learned about lighting. I learned about recording. I learned about microphones, because people, there were haters, but there were also people trying to help me in the comments, as well, or the reviews of the course. And let me know, like, hey, I didn't like the course, but here's some of my suggestions on this or that if you're open to them. And here's the other key aspect there. You got to be open to them. And you also need to take things with a grain of salt. Just because someone says, oh, you talk too fast in a video, doesn't mean you need to record that video over again. Just because one person says, oh my God, you talk so fast, right? Or if they say you talk too slow, who cares? Or if they say you breathe too, I had one instructor years ago I worked with created some videos, and then someone that was reviewing it was complaining because the instructor was breathing in the video. I'm like, what? They got to breathe? Like, what the heck, right? So understand that you're going to suck at first. Take constructive criticism, and just understand that, especially like if you're planning on like YouTube, like I've got this channel, it's a long journey. Like plan for at least 1 to 2 years before you see any traction at all. So you've got to be okay with the fact that you may not be getting anyone subscribing or liking or whatever your videos, and you just keep putting them out, right? It's like working out. You're not going to go lift weights one day and like get, some big, like Dwayne The Rock Johnson overnight. It's not going to happen. Consistency is the key. And so the more you do something, the better you get at it. Just like if you were working an incident, right? Day one, working as a tier 1 SOC analyst, you don't know anything. You think you do. You know nothing. And you're like, oh my gosh. But day 60, right? Day 120, 5 years in, you're a much different practitioner at that point because you've continuously done the thing. You've done those repetitions. So it's the same way with, creating content and stuff like that. And I think the biggest blocker with imposter syndrome for anyone is that you let that stop you from getting started. And that's the key, right? Because if you never pick up a weight and, move it somehow or do a push-up or anything, you're going to have the same body you always did. If you just consume videos on YouTube or TikTok or look at LinkedIn posts all day long about a cybersecurity, domain that you want to work in, but you never actually do something hands-on, you never take the course, you never try to figure out how is this thing I'm learning connected to the real world, you're never going to get good at it. It's the same in any other industry you're in, right? If you were working as a realtor, if you never try to like have people book appointments with you to show houses, you're not going to make any money as a realtor, and you're not going to last long as a realtor. If you work in fast food right now and you never took the time to learn how to make a cheeseburger, you're probably going to get fired because if your boss says, hey, I need to make a cheeseburger, you don't know how to do it. So it's those repetitions, right? It's like getting started, getting it over with. I'll equate it to dating real quick. Like if you never try to date, guess what? You're not going to get dates. It's not magic. It's not, people aren't going to come find you in your mom's basement and be like, oh yeah, you right there, I want to marry you. It doesn't happen like that. You got to go out, you got to get rejected, you got to deal with failure. And eventually, right, you do anything enough, you're going to get good at it, or at least much better than the other people, right? I still think there's people that, have gone to formal education for video creation and video editing and all that stuff. And they've had, training. For example, when I had the television show, I didn't know how to do a TV show at all. And I thought it was like, oh, it's going to be like a podcast type of thing. It wasn't, right? There's a very strict process I had to follow because otherwise they wouldn't have, distributed my videos because they had to be structured a certain way. They had to follow a certain process, have certain information in them, have certain, when I first started with the first production company, they'd have certain gaps for commercials to run in. So there's all these things that I didn't know. And it actually took several iterations of me filming on camera to get what they were looking for. And I had already filmed, dozens of courses and had millions of students and done YouTube videos and podcasts and all this stuff, but it didn't matter because that was something new, right? Something new I was trying to do. And so that's what I want to really leave you with around imposter syndrome. Like, you're not going to be good at it right away. You're still not going to think you're good at it 20 years into it, probably, unless you're cocky. But understand that it's just a process, just like, dealing with haters. It's a process. You're not going to be perfect every single day. Not everything is going to be magical and butterflies and sprinkles. You sure as hell are not going to ever get a 6-figure cybersecurity job in 24 hours with no technical experience and no training and no, experience in IT or anything like that one dude on YouTube claims. But for anything, whether it's cybersecurity career or just creating content or whatever, if you put in the work, if you have patience and you are consistent with it, you're gonna get better. So hopefully that helps those of you. Honestly, I was getting a lot of DMs on LinkedIn, so I said, let me just put out a video because I know I won't have time later this fall to keep responding to people so quickly. So hopefully this helps some of you out there. Again, haters, just ignore them. I mean, it's a process. It's just like driving in traffic. You can have days where you're doing great and no one, makes you mad, even though they cut you off. And then there's other days where you flip the middle finger at them, you're cursing them, whatever else, right? We're humans. We're not going to be perfect every single day of the week. I'm certainly not perfect. And I would never admit so. So hopefully this information around haters and imposter syndrome helps some of you out there. Just understand that you can do it. You can literally do anything that you want to in life if you're willing to put in the work, if you're willing to ignore haters. And the biggest thing is something I learned many years ago: avoid quitting. That's it. Sometimes there's a saying, bad penny, right? Like a bad penny, it keeps showing up. I want you to kind of put a spin on that, right? And so for your life, whatever you're trying to do, I want you to pretend you're a bad penny. And not saying you're a bad person, but just a bad penny in the aspect of you keep showing up, no matter what. No matter what you're going through, no matter the haters, no matter how nobody's subscribed to your YouTube channel or nobody's liked your LinkedIn post, no one's commenting, nobody's viewing it, you got 20 views for 6 months straight. I want you to be like that bad penny and just keep showing up. That's the biggest thing that's going to lead you to the levels of success and allow you to build the life that you really, really want deep down inside.